What's up everyone, it's Bones here. In today's video, I'll be covering the new Sky Striker cards that we'll be getting in Magical Mavens, though this video will mainly be covering Linkage, as it's the only card that really needs an entire video on it. But before I begin, if you happen to enjoy content like this, clicking on those thumbs up and subscribe buttons would be greatly appreciated, as it goes a long way in supporting the channel and shows me that you like content like this. To begin, Linkage reads, if you control no monsters in your main monster zone, send one other card you control to the graveyard, and if you do, special summon one Sky Striker Ace monster from your extra deck to the extra monster zone. And if you have at least one light and one dark Sky Striker Ace monster on your field and or in your graveyard, the summoned monster gains 1000 attack. For the rest of this turn, after this card resolves, you cannot special summon monsters from the extra deck except Sky Striker Ace monsters. As you can see, its ability to send another card you control to the graveyard in order to special summon a Sky Striker Ace monster from your extra deck is a great way to play around something like Imperm, as even if you have a Sky Striker Ace monster in the extra monster zone, you can still use Linkage, because the way it's rolled is sort of like a True King, where if you have your entire monster zone clogged up with monsters, as long as you have something you can destroy with a True King in order to special summon it on the field, then you can still use its effect. And you'll see how we're going to do so momentarily, as we're going to pass here because the OTK requires an open field, and all you need is Ray and Linkage, and we're going to attack with Ray for 1500, and from here we can go into the Hayate, and the Hayate has to send Rose in order to get the OTK here, which from here we can now use the Linkage. And if you wanted to stop the OTK, you could Imperm the Kagari, and as long as they don't have another Linkage, then you could prevent the OTK, but a second Linkage can still play around it. As you'll see, we're going to gain the 1000 attack because of Linkage, and have the Linkage back in hand because of Kagari, and now we can activate it again in order to go into the Shizuku, gain 1000 attack because we have Ace and Rose in the graveyard, and from here we can attack for the final 2500 to complete the OTK. This second replay here, I actually want to show a ruling I saw previously that I felt would be good to get on video. And as you'll see here, I'm just going to activate a reinforcement of the army just for a body, get the Ray, and we're going to pass here. As I'm now going to use the reinforcement of the army on the opposing side, then we can use the engage, and from here we'll get the Linkage. Now as you can see, we have Ray, Linkage, and Widow Anchor, and if you're wondering, the ruling is whether you can get the secondary effect of a Sky Striker spell card if you send it off of Linkage. Now we're going to accidentally set a card there, as we're going to Widow Anchor for the Ray, use the Linkage to send the Widow Anchor, and now we're going to special summon the Hayate, and we're actually going to be able to take the Ray. And the reason that I believe this is because the Widow Anchor is in the graveyard before the effect resolves, which means you have 3 spell cards in the graveyard at the time of resolving the effect. So to cover the other 2 cards here, we have Strategic Striker Hamp, and it reads, this card is always treated as a Sky Striker card. If you control a Sky Striker Ace monster, you can special summon this card from your hand to either field by tributing one monster on that field. So it's basically a kaiju. You can only special summon Strategic Striker Hamp once per turn this way. When this card is destroyed by battle, you can target one card your opponent controls, destroy it. I want to point out that because it's always treated as a Sky Striker card, of course you can search it with Engage, which makes it a searchable out to annoying boss monsters the deck couldn't get over before. Then there's the second new card here, which is a level 1 machine, and this card is also always treated as a Sky Striker card, and it reads, a Sky Striker Ace monster equipped with this card gains 400 attack. You can only use one of the following effects of the new card once per turn, and only once that turn. During the main phase quick effect, you can target one Sky Striker Ace monster you control. Equip this card from your hand or field to it. If this card on the field is destroyed, you can send one Sky Striker spell card from your deck to the graveyard. So I don't think that this card will see much play at all, because it's a slow card that relies on its destruction, and all it does is send a spell from the deck to the graveyard. The way Sky Strikers function right now, I don't think that there's a current good way to pop your own stuff to even make that worth it, but at the end of the day, I think the Hayate is always worth it over it. Now, onto the card by card. We have the 3 Ray, we have the 2 Rose, the 2 Area Zeros because of the Linkage, along with having the Demise of the land, and the field spell heavy setup, as well as the droplets. I felt like having just one of the Area Zero was too little. Then there's the 1 Engage, the 1 multi-roll, the 1 Hornet, the 3 Linkage, the 2 Shark Cannon, and the 2 Afterburners because of the format it is. I think that you'd always play 2 Afterburner regardless, as it forces negation. But because it's tier and about to be a Shizu format, I think you have to play Shark Cannon at 2. The 3 Widow Anchor, the 3 Mind, the 1 Upstart, the 1 Reinforcement of the Army, Terraforming, Called by the Grave, the 3 Demise of the Land, the 3 Droplets, the 3 Imperms, the 1 Metaverse, and the 3 Dimensional Barriers to round out the deck profile. Onto the extra deck, we have the 1 Access Code, the Unicorn, Dark and Lena, the Zeke, the Kana, the 3 Hayate, the 3 Kagari, and the 3 Shizuku. I didn't really go into the detail with the extra deck because I just think a lot of this is standard. The Charmers get you into an extra body in order to make your Unicorn. Hornet being an extra body can allow you to get into your access code easier as well, as you can just turn it into a Sky Striker monster for the last effect monster that you need, or you can just use the token to go into Unicorn before going into access code. As for the options, you do have the DPE package, which some people may opt to play, especially in order to combat the Bestial cards, as the Bestial cards do kind of hurt these Sky Striker monsters a lot. I think Prosperity gets worse with Linkage, and funny enough, so does Upstart, because the Linkage OTK is exactly 8,000 life points, and Upstart makes the opponent gain life points, but I don't think that it'll come up enough to the point where it warrants cutting Upstart, as you do need an open field for it to go off, and Upstart is just a one-of. The Adventure Engine is also another option. Instead of the droplets, you can also play Offering to the Doomed. If you don't want to have to discard anything, though, you do have to skip your next draw phase. It's also not as effective against tier cards. And then lastly, for the options, there is the Scythe, Sanctum, and Trap Trick that we've seen before. We are playing the Imperm and the D-Barriers, but I think that's up to player preference and how you construct your deck. But anyways, that's all for today's video, and if you made it this far, I hope you enjoyed, and I thank you for watching. If you have any suggestions, feel free to leave them down below. It's Boned, signing out.